Welcome back to episode 7 of Valley Sports Talk. On today's episode, we're going to be talking a bit about NFL and a bit about NHL. Obviously, yesterday, J.J. Watt signed a pretty big deal with the Arizona Cardinals, so we're going to be talking a bit about that. We're going to talk a bit about the NFC South football division.
NFC West.
You wrote it wrong. I didn't change it.
It's okay.
NFC West, division in football. Then we're going to talk about a bit of NHL. We're going to talk about real or fake East Division. And then we're going to go through the top 5 players in the East Division this season. So without further ado, we'll get started talking about J.J. Watt's massive...
What was that?
Whoa!
Who are
Sorry,
you?
I was just flashing Max's opinions down the toilet there. Anyways, hello, I'm Braden, and I'm glad to be here today, boys.
We're putting a face to the voice.
Damn right.
So BFH is going to join us for today's episode. So why not just start off with your thoughts on the J.J. Watt signing?
Well, that was when I woke up this morning. I saw that. Well, when I was
Morning.
watching Sports
That's
Center
okay.
this morning, I saw that's a pretty big pickup
Yeah, for sure.
for the Cardinals. Yeah.
For
With
Carolina.
the Carolina. Yeah, for
Almost
sure. Pairing him up with across from Chandler Jones is going to
That's
give
going to be
some
gross, yeah.
some pretty
That's
hard matchups.
That's
for
pretty
some
hard
offensive
hitting for the
lines.
Texans too.
Well, the
Yeah,
interview
yeah.
is gone.
Well, yeah.
But
They're losing-
I don't
mean,
think
they're losing one
any
of
of
their-
us. I don't think any of us three on our predictions.
Not even close.
I don't even think they came into consideration.
I
for
think
me.
I get half a point because I guessed and the NFC. Maybe. Yeah, I said the Packers.
Close.
NFC.
Oh wow.
Same conference.
But yeah, that's
You guys are 0 in free agent predictions. I'm 0.5.
oh boy.
I'll take it.
There
So,
you
yeah,
go.
he signed
One
a,
gold star.
Signed a 2-year, $31 million deal with Arizona.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
I don't know. I'm not good at math. What's that divided by 2?
Well, that's 15 and a half.
Okay, 50.
But he's
Okay,
guaranteed.
I
He's
could've guessed
guaranteed.
that.
He's guaranteed 23.
Guaranteed. What is
yeah.
the incentives behind it?
I have no idea, but I mean, 2 years, 31 million. That's a lot. Like, I mean, I guess in that standard, like Green Bay wasn't paying him that, Pittsburgh wasn't paying him that, Tampa Bay wasn't paying him that. I mean, the Browns could have paid him that probably, but I guess money was still a big incentive for him to go.
The thing I question is if he wanted to win a championship, felt like he would have signed with Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
Packers, even the Browns.
That'll be in my
maybe
secret segment at the
potentially over the Arizona. But Max, we haven't heard from you yet, so you can give your insights on the deal.
Where's your two?
I don't know. I was shocked as well, but all I would say about it is that I thought it was kind of interesting that J.J. Watt previously he made a point that he was really happy to be in the same place as CP3.
Yes, I did
And-
see that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were going back to Arizona because
Well, no,
CP3's
whenever
in
they were
Phoenix.
hosting
Okay.
Houston, they were together, and then now that they're both
Whenever,
in
like,
Arizona, he's in Phoenix.
The hurricane hit, or the flood hit, the giant flood, CP3 was like the first person to reach out to like give JJ
Oh,
Watt's
okay.
foundation money.
That's
It
cool.
was like the year that CP3 had just been traded to Houston.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So yeah. So
And he's back with Hopkins, and you guys saw that picture with Kyler Murray
Yeah, like
and,
in his
and
high school
Karl Anthony
senior year.
Towns.
Yeah,
That was fun.
Yeah.
yeah. So kind of subset of that deal, we're gonna jump into our NFC West.
Yeah.
NFC West end of season predictions now with this JJ Watt signing trade. Oh, never mind. I missed this. What did you? The
Well, I just
Bears?
wanted
didn't
to
see that.
quickly bring up the Bears. I saw a post saying that the Bears are probably going to go with Foles as the starter this season. We're super popular getting phone calls.
It's Ethan on
Those
the
trades are coming
I
in.
mean, I feel like that's a weird thing for the Bears to say because you're basically throwing your season away if you start going with Foles, and and I mean, just from a Chicago standpoint, like you look at all Chicago teams in the past. I mean, they are not title contenders, but Chicago isn't a city to rebuild. Like you got the Blackhawks, who are not great, but they compete, right? You got the
competitive, yeah.
Bulls, who haven't been good, but they still compete. You have the White Sox, the Cubs, and I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing for Chicago to do. I don't see it. I mean, it's like, hey, we're gonna rebuild. Go watch the Blackhawks. We'll be back.
Yeah. So I don't really see their motive there and saying already that they're going to be starting Foles whenever free agency or the draft really hasn't kicked off yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna go after Russell Wilson because we already got Foles in our roster, and I just don't see. I mean, why would they go after Russell Wilson if you got Foles? What's the point? What's the point?
Sense.
You might as well just give up on him and go for Foles.
Super Bowl contending quarterback, the backup quarterback that won the Super Bowl just the 1 year. But, you know, well, we'll start him anyways because, you know, he's a diamond in the rough. But, you know, we'll mold him into something good.
So, moving past that, like I said, we're going to talk about our NFC West end of season predictions. We will go from right to left. So, Braden, give us
You're number 4.
Yeah,
the worst
start-
case. So
start it. we'll do 4, then we'll go 3.
who's
then
gonna
we'll go 2.
finish last in the NFC West?
I'm going to say the 49ers finish last in the NFC West.
And what's your reason for that?
Well,
He's new.
yeah, I'm a little new to this, so you got to give me some time here. But anyways,
We're not
when
expecting
I'm
expert
looking,
analysis.
well,
Just your opinions.
I mean, they even though without without their star tight end this year, and their defense didn't really click this year like they did, like even without Bosa, their defense didn't really click this year overall. And if they can't win without those star players, then you're screwed either way.
My 4th team is the Cardinals. You just added JJ Watt, which is obviously a big add, but in a division like this where you have the Seahawks, who at this point of time still have their roster, we don't know what they'll look like in the future, but as of right now they got the roster. The Rams are bringing back everyone plus Stafford. The 49ers 2 years ago went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. I mean, no, they lost the Super Bowl, but they made it to the Super Bowl. And last year they hit the injury bug, so I can't just count them out because of an injury-ridden season after a Super Bowl finals. So Arizona's my 4th place team.
I'm going to kind of jump on the same thing as B-Well. I also have the Cardinals. Number 4, you know, getting J.J. Watt's a pretty big signing. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year will bring some nice grit to your lineup, but I'm still kind of iffy about their secondary. Other than Budda Baker, who else do you really have there? Byron Murphy's their top corner, and he's 3rd year in the league. You know, Patrick Peterson's a free agent, and he's not really what he used to be. And then I also have some concerns about their offensive line, protecting Kyler Murray. You know, Kyler Murray was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league last year. He kind of reminds me a bit about a younger Russell Wilson. So, you know, you might run into the same problem there. So I still have the Cardinals being the 4th ranked team in that division.
All right, so personally, I have the Seattle Seahawks as the 4th.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
You're giving me a heart attack over here, bud. I didn't see that coming.
Seahawks fan. You got Seahawks landing
You're a
this spot.
Seahawks
I'm
fan.
a Seahawks fan.
I thought you were gonna have them as 1, to be honest.
But no, although I would like them to be number 1, I don't see the Wilson Carroll relationship getting any better. I don't see that situation getting any better. And
just to remind you, their relationship wasn't good last year, and they finished 12-4.
They finished 12-4, sure, but I still don't see it improving on that. I don't see any sort of improvement in terms of what they're going to do on their line. I don't see any improvement in their relationship. Like, what I do see is improvement from the Cardinals. What I do see is improvement from the 49ers because they're coming back with a way healthier team. And what I've also seen from LA in comparison to last year was they were better than Seattle by the end of the year, and I don't see why I take Seattle over LA just for that reason. Although I'm a Seattle fan, that's just how I feel.
All I'm going to say is if you have Seattle finishing last, that means you have Seattle not being a 500 football team.
I'm not necessarily saying that.
Well, if you're 500, you're not going to be last, probably.
There's a chance you can be. I don't know. It's tough, but I don't see. I see the Cardinal. I don't know who I would take. I think it's a very good division. I see the Cardinals making a jump this year, especially because D-Hop and Kyler Murray just got started. Like, I see them becoming more of an offensive threat than even last year. So
yeah, fair. Okay, number 3.
Cardinals. Yeah, Cardinals.
Okay, well,
all I have to
just
say
the
about
Cardinals.
that,
Just the Cardinals.
Well, I just said what I would have to say that with Kyler Murray and D-Hop and the addition of J.J. Watt, I know they're lacking in their secondary, what Noah was saying, but I'm honestly just really eager to see what they do this year, and I have them as number 3. So.
My third team is the Los Angeles Rams. Very hard to rank these. Me and Beal were talking on text earlier in our group chat, and we were saying like we've changed this like at least 5 times since our first list.
This division.
It was really hard. Personally, I don't think Matthew Stafford is better than Jared Goff. He's definitely a better quarterback than Jared Goff, but is he going to take this football team to the next level is really the question will have to be answered during the season. You know what you're getting with their defense. Their defense is going to be great. They have some pretty decent weapons for him in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And then their offensive line is a bit weak, so if they can really focus on that, I could probably see them finishing second, even first in the division. But this division's so hard, and I don't know. I had to keep them at 3.
Yeah, just like Noah was saying, even though I had Cardinals in 4th, I could see any of these teams coming away with this division. It's just like, I mean, this division's insane with all these games and having you play each team twice in your division with all these games. Like, those division games are going to mean so much, especially in this division. You're going to have to come away with those games if you're going to want to make the playoffs this year. My third team is the 49ers. You get back Bosa, Garoppolo, Kittle. Like I said, they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I don't know if they're gonna have that. I hope they have that gel back, but I don't know if they will. They're gonna have to get used to playing with each other again. And again, I'm a Green Bay fan, and they beat us 2 years ago, so they can go in 3rd.
Well, and Noah, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth because I have the Rams sitting in number 3 spot
what else
too.
Is he taking right now?
He took them. Anyways, but so like Noah was saying, they got 2 really good weapons on the outside. You got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, which really did have Cooper Kupp had a pretty good season this year with the Rams. In the backfield, now you got Stafford, then Goff, which I don't know who's going to be better. As my honest opinion, and their line, their offensive line needs a little bit of tweaking, but I have them sitting at 3rd for this year.
And who's your number 2?
Number 2, I'm going with the Cardinals. You got Kyler Murray, who is very mobile quarterback, runs like a kindergartner for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways, but when he scrolls it, and they got Hopkins,
He's not wrong. He does
He's not wrong. Yeah, he's totally not wrong.
About how many videos I've seen of him, it's just funny. But but I got the Cardinals sitting at number 2.
You could teach him.
At 2, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Their main important pieces seem to be a little shaky with your quarterback and your head coach, which could definitely, like Max was saying, could cause some turmoil for sure. I don't see the change of this exchange being as drastic as Max thinks. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be second in the division. But the Seahawks definitely got some things to sort out if they want to contend for a Super Bowl.
My number 2 team is the San Francisco 49ers. 2 years ago, like we've already mentioned, they were a Super Bowl finalist. You're getting your starters back from a pretty ridiculed season full of injuries last year. Jimmy G is not the quarterback of the future there, but he is a pretty decent quarterback for now. They got the run game that's going to be dominant as usual. They got a very solid offensive line. If they bring back Trent Williams at left tackle, they'll be even much better. They're most likely going to lose Richard Sherman at corner, but they have a bit of money to spend in free agency, so might as well spend it on your secondary. Your D line is going to be phenomenal as usual. You got Bosa coming back, you got Armstead, and then you have the rookie from last year, Kinlaw, as well as D Ford on the outside there. So, and then your linebacking, you probably have a top 2 linebacker in Fred Warner, who's always going to be a beast on the field, and I don't see them going anywhere other than 2. Also could see them going 1, also could see them being 4. Like you said, this division's nuts. So, they're my number 2.
All right, so for me, I have the 49ers as well. I was really impressed with how they were not obviously last year, but the year before. And I see them having a very similar lineup to that. So yeah, with the addition of Boza as well. Wait, when Boza was there 2 years ago,
He was a beast, though.
but he
He was.
he was a beast. But I see them being even better. And if just the research that I've done across the internet, it seems like the 49ers actually have had a lot of people riding them for a Super Bowl opportunity the next coming year. So
Well, they're bringing back basically the same team
exactly.
they took.
So I'm eager to see that, and I that's who I have at number 2. So
Yeah, number 1.
my number 1 is the LA Rams. I remember watching the game against Seattle, and I remember how they lost that game. And although it was kind of, I don't know, it was. How would you guys describe that game? Whenever Seattle lost to LA,
Russell Wilson versus the D line.
Yeah,
it was quite frustrating to watch. But I realized that I find what LA has that these other teams don't have is probably a bit more consistency in terms of their defensive end. And then with that addition of Matthew Stafford, I mean, I was really not impressed with their quarterback last year. And with the addition of Stafford, I think that is a significant improvement. So, yeah, I have them at number 1. So.
My number 1, I'm sticking with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think Russell Wilson's going anywhere. I know we all like to speculate that he's going somewhere. Everybody does. But he's shown his frustration with their O-line and with Pete Carroll. Whenever you have a star quarterback in the material that he is, you're going to listen to him, hopefully. So they're going to fix their O-line. They're going to bring in their defensive pieces. If they do that, like Brandon said, they're 12-4 this year with disputes between Pete Carroll. If they make the necessary changes, I don't see them going anywhere. So I still have them sitting at number 1 if they do what they should in the offseason.
I'm going to agree with Max. I have the Rams as number 1. When healthy, their defense is one of the best in the league. Like everyone's been saying, all 3 of them have talked about the Rams already. They got weapons on the offense. I also think that Matthew Stafford, although skill-wise, they might not be crazy different, but the fact of just having like a steady arm in Stafford
in comparison to what they had before,
exactly,
it's a
like
lot better.
You can have a good defense, but when you're having to deal with 2 interceptions a game, it can get a little hectic on the defensive side. But with a more steady Matthew Stafford, I think just having even field position, better field position is just going to help the Rams, and I think they can top the division.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like I would say the last thing, like why I couldn't put Seattle above them is just based off of last year them losing to that team and that team getting better, and I don't see Seattle getting better, so that's where the gap widens for me. So yeah.
And I have Seattle sitting at number 1 because even as Noah said, Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere. I still think he's a great quarterback for the team. They have 2, you got Metcalf, who had a really good season with them this year, and Lockett, that kind of, foreshadowed in the back, but, he's still a good wide receiver overall.
Lockett only played well when Braden had him on the bench, so.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. 53 points, my ass, but...
Twice.
Anyway, twice.
Did I give you him, didn't I?
No, I drafted him.
Both times Lockett put up 50.
I drafted him this season. The one time I sit
twice.
on my...
He put up 50 twice.
Yeah, but then because every other week it's like 7 points. Here, I'll give you 11. Or I'll give you 21, and then it's like, I'm going to sit him for this game because, somebody else better is playing, and then...
52.
then 52 or 53, but anyway.
So many explosive receivers.
But, once they tweak a little bit in Seattle, I think Seattle's still going to be a great contender
Agreed.
for this year, yeah.
Bray, keep us going, real or fake.
NHL.
We're switching to the NHL. We're going to the East Division.
Okay, 1 sec. Can we eliminate the Sabres, the Devils, and the Rangers?
No, there's...
I don't want to eliminate the Sabres. I think we can eliminate the Devils.
No.
The Devils are terrible.
No, they got an opportunity to win all.
Are you being serious?
Are you being serious?
Okay, we're eliminating the Devils because the only thing good about the Devils is Hughes, Zaka, and Mackenzie Blackwood.
Yep.
So
agreed.
Mackenzie Blackwood's turned up this year.
We all have that as fake.
I think the Sabres are a good one because they were supposed to be good. They were supposed to be
Fair
decent.
enough. Braden, go ahead and start off.
Philly.
With Philly.
With Philadelphia, I'm
Real
going
or fake?
I'm gonna go with. I'll go with real on them to start with. I don't really know how to express on this. I'm not very good with hockey. I don't know all the stats, unfortunately. But like Carter Hart. I'll start with the goaltending to start with. Carter Hart. He still has a lot of work to be done with him. He just got a shutout the other night, I'm pretty sure. And he'll either lose or he'll win, but that's how it goes.
That's how it works.
I get what you're saying. He's young.
He's young. Yeah, exactly. He's young, and there's still a lot to be done with him. And I wish I knew a little bit more about the team.
Just say what you know.
I'm going with what I know, and I'm saying that they're real. They're a contender.
Same level as you.
I'm gonna agree. I think the Flyers. That's fine. No, that's fine.
Okay.
The Flyers, I think you'd be crazy not to have the Flyers as real. Their offense has been clicking this year. Their defense is still steady as always. You got a young Carter Hart, and I think, to get them to the next step, they needed a surprise piece, and they've almost got two of those out of James Van Riemsdyk and Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott could be the perfect backup to Carter Hart because he's older, he's got the experience. He can teach Carter Hart a bunch. Brian Elliott's 5-1, 2 goals against average, .930 save percentage, 2 shutouts on the year. I do got the stats because Brian Elliott's been playing crazy, and I think just his veteran presence helps the team.
Yeah, I know. Like they were saying, you can't not have the Flyers as real. I had them going to the Cup last year. After Pittsburgh got eliminated and stuff, but I had them going to the Cup last year. Obviously, it didn't happen. I am a bit skeptical about Carter Hart. He's been a bit shaky, but like Braden was saying, and Brendan kind of helped him out.
Elaborated on it.
He's young. I think he's only 23, 24. Like Brandon said, Brian Elliott's a very good starter. So if Hart is struggling in the playoffs, whenever
Carter Hart's 22.
Assuming they make it, Carter Hart starts struggling after a game, throw in Elliott, and his veteran presence will be there. I like their forward core. They're getting a bit older, so now, this year, next year would probably be the time they want to go all in.
Yeah.
They're getting older. Their defense is where I'm a bit skeptical. I like Provorov, but other than that, Gosper's kind of fallen off, and I don't really know anybody else on their defense other than those two. So, but I can't not have them as real, so I'm going to keep them as real.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to keep them as real as well, just based off if you look at the standings right now, they're actually doing really, even though their goaltending has been shaky as of late, they still have a pretty good goals against in comparison to the teams that are around the same level as them. That and the fact that they've won the past 3 seems like they're trending upwards. I would say, I would argue that their goaltending is probably the one thing that you can complain about right now because as far as I see it, I really like JVR this season, so he's been a really good piece for them, and I think moving forward they're going to continue on the same path. So real.
You want to go Pittsburgh first?
You should probably talk about Pittsburgh first. I think you might be the only one.
So I have Pittsburgh Penguins as real. Might be a bit Penguins bias there, but I can't not have a team led by Sidney Crosby being real. This is a very good division. Currently, they are 2 points out of a playoff spot. And speaking of Crosby, he's not playing tonight against the Flyers, which kind of hurts.
That does hurt. That does hurt.
Hurts you too for fantasy.
Yeah.
But they've done it in the past. Sure, they're getting older, but Jari started to play very well as of late after a rough start. Malkin's starting to turn the season around, and Letang's playing like he's 25 again, scoring about 2 goals a game. They have great pieces around them, like Rust, Gensel, feel like that. Zucker's out for a bit right now, so he's a bit of a loss. And they're just starting to get their injured guys back. Personally, I don't see them making the playoffs, as much as I hate to say it, but I think any team out of this division could make a cup run easily.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hopefully keep them at real. But to the Penguins fan, hurts me to say, but shaky.
Go ahead, Max.
Alright, so I have the Penguins as fake, just because in comparison to the teams they're playing up against, the Flyers, the Islanders, the Bruins, the Capitals, I don't see them contending with them anymore. I mean, Crosby's good, but he's not what I don't think he's necessarily exactly what he was. I think he's kind of taken a little bit of a dip, even though he's out right now. But that, the fact that Malkin's taken a dip, and although Letang's doing well, they're kind of shaky in terms of, even if you look at their differential. They have they're -5 in comparison to all the other teams I named. They're all in the plus differential, +7, +7, 9, 4, and I mean, the only thing that I can say is it's not like there's a big gap between them and the Flyers. The Flyers are doing better, but to right now say they're real, I wouldn't be able to say. So, no, fake.
I also have them as fake. Noah might not like to hear this, but as of right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins are kind of reminding me of an Edmonton Oilers. I mean, the top line for Pittsburgh is about the only good thing offensive going for them right now. Just like Edmonton. Also, just like Edmonton, you got a beast on the back end like Letang. You could argue for Edmonton that Darnell Nurse is kind of stepping into that role. And I mean, like Noah said, their goaltending is starting to pick it up, but so far this season it hasn't gone off to the greatest start. Me calling the Penguins fake isn't even really a knock against them. It's just how hard this division is. Probably out of all the teams I named fake, this is the one team that wouldn't shock me if they won the cup again. Like Noah said, you got Sidney Crosby on your team. You're always going to be in the conversation. It's just a crazy division.
It's interesting. They only have one OT loss, and
they're 6-1 they're 7-1 in overtime.
And those are big, especially when you're playing your division every single night.
I watched almost every Pittsburgh game I can. I can't tell you the last time they actually won in regulation.
But like that's the thing though, with the way this season works in your own division, overtime losses are going to be the reason some teams don't make it to the playoffs. There's going to be that one team in every division that's going to have like not going to make it by like 2 points, and they're going to have like 6 overtime losses.
Although it's good that they're winning their overtimes, it's kind of alarming that they're happy to be put in that situation almost every game.
But whenever you're playing a playoff team every game, you're going to expect the games to be close.
At the same time,
but if you compare it to the other playoff teams, I don't think they've been in as many overtimes in terms of getting their wins.
Okay, I also want to point this out. Pittsburgh hasn't played the Devils or Sabres once all year.
That'll help them out. But neither have a lot of teams because not a lot of teams have played the Sabres because they've been in. But the one thing I will say, like Noah said, they do got some easy matchups coming up.
Hopefully, should be.
I mean, we are saying that obviously it's a good thing. It's a good thing they're winning in overtime because, they've had to go to overtime because they've been down and playing the catch-up game in most games. But, for them to take it the next jump, they need to start winning games in regulation because even though they're winning games in overtime, you're still giving the other teams a point every single time.
You're still giving them their chance.
Yeah. Go, Bray.
Okay, well because this one's a tough one for me because all you guys have very valid points when it comes to the Penguins.
Aside from Noah's.
Do you want to get punched by Noah or do you...
He's already
come at me.
Punching him here.
Come at me. Anyways, I'm gonna have to go with the Penguins as I'm going to go with as their fake too because even though they have they got. Whoa, boy!
Brandon's gonna hit him for me.
You got Crosby, you got Letang, you got Malkin, and their goaltending hasn't been the best to start off with.
Who's their starting goalie?
I have no idea who their
His first name's Tristan.
Tristan? What name is that?
Tristan
Tenacity.
My best friend.
Hey, I grew up with that kid.
Go on, Brad.
But, if they got a win in OT, it kind of... like you said, you're giving that team the chance to get the extra points if you can beat them in regulation.
It's also hard for teams going against them whenever you're seeing
Crosby
and Malkin every second shift.
Yeah, but you can't be arguing going to overtime is a good thing. You would want to win your games outright.
You want to win them at regular time. You don't want to give them that chance. And then what happens if you tie in regulation?
We're saying when you get to overtime, it's good that they're winning. But in a season like this...
overall, it's still not a good thing.
No, but especially in a season like this...
Pardon?
You're not losing. It means that the game is close. It means that you didn't lose.
Yeah, but wouldn't you prefer the team that doesn't actually have to send it to overtime and just wins in regulation?
Yeah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't but I'm just saying that they're winning in overtime, so it still counts as a win.
Yeah,
but they're not even winning that much. So
even though it still counts as the win.
When you get to overtime, you want to be the one winning.
Yeah, sure.
But I see where you're coming from, especially in a season this year when you're playing a team in your division to go to overtime. You're giving points
Especially when
away,
you're
but
battling
then
for a
to
playoff
Noah's
spot.
point, to Noah's point at the same
Don't get me
time,
wrong, it's
which
impressive,
which
but
I'm not saying is a good thing for the Penguins,
it's not.
but they've been behind,
Yes.
which isn't good. But on
They
the
scored-
good thing,
they
they've
scored
been
the-
coming back.
They scored the first goal in
Yeah.
three.
Well,
but,
at least,
Like I just say the
19 games,
Penguins'
18
way of
games.
winning is even like the fact is like how they're winning right now isn't as sustainable.
I agree with you,
As-
especially
yeah,
this
yeah,
season, because
yeah.
you're giving teams that you're
Yeah.
playing against for a playoff spot
Mhm.
points, but at the same time, they are doing a good job. Where most
Yeah.
teams in the NHL, if you're down in the third period, you're done.
Yeah.
They're finding ways to come back, but you'd like them to not have to do
Come back,
that.
yeah.
Okay, Bray, Islanders.
Islanders. I'd rather not start off with this one. Well,
Do
really,
you want me to go?
can you?
Okay,
No,
the
I don't.
Islanders.
I
That's
wish,
fine.
like I said,
That's
I wish I
fine.
knew more
You're
about
okay.
hockey. I
That's
don't.
fine.
You're okay.
That's fine. I have the Islanders as fake. That might come to a shock to people as they've made it to the conference finals last year. But at the same token, a few years ago, so did the Ottawa Senators, and they were trash the year after. The Islanders have been off to a good start, but like just looking at their stats, I can't say I watch a lot of games. Noah might know a lot more than us
I
because
do.
he watches this division. But just looking at the Islanders' stats, their goalies have been amazing this year. But they're not scoring a lot of goals, which I mean, I guess is playoff type hockey, but you got to make it there first. And if you got a team like Pittsburgh who, can score a lot of goals, just the only thing I see from the Islanders is their goaltending has been great and it's kind of keeping them afloat. And they just don't seem to have a lot of scoring coming their way.
Yeah, so I have them as real. Brandon, I watch a lot of Islanders games because Pittsburgh has played them the
Like
most
18
out of this game.
18 out of 20 games.
They're kind of a boring team to watch because they don't really have any goal scorers other than like Matt Barzal. Jordan Eberle goes off against Pittsburgh, so I don't really like him. But they're such a defensive-minded team. Barry Trotz does a very good job with them. With them, you're going to win games 2-1. You're going to win the 1-0 games. They're not a really fun team to watch your team play against, but they get it done. They made it to the conference finals for a reason last year. Varlamov has been shaky the last couple starts. He has, but, he was great at the start of the year, so, he'll get back to that form eventually. Coming off the conference finals, I can't really put them as fake. They're third right now in the East, so I'm going to keep them as real, personally.
Max, Braden.
I have the Islanders as real as well. I've been really impressed with Barzal as their lead number one option. And who else? Who's their number two option?
They don't have
Anders
one, really.
Lee.
Yeah, Anders Lee has been playing bad.
Anders
He's been
Lee
playing-
has
All right.
he's got a lot of goals, only
he's
14
got like
points though.
9 goals, is he not?
Yeah, 14
He scores
14
more goals than he does assists.
14 points in 21 games or something
Alright,
like
well,
that.
anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
you don't want that to be
No.
your number 2
No,
guy.
no,
but
obviously
it
not.
is
But
a-
anyways, it seems like what I've seen from the Islanders is they've kind of had help from all over. They've had help from all throughout their one to their 4 line, and they've had some rookies that have, I think, done well for this year as well. So I consider them real just for the fact that the team that they're playing against, like the Penguins, wouldn't rival them overall. So yeah.
whatever you say, bud. Okay, Bray, you got anything to add to the Islanders? Even if not, just tell us if you think they're real or not.
Well, I'm going with them as real because just by looking at what they got on their for their offense, you got a lot of people that are staying positive as they're on the ice, pretty much out of their 21 games that they have played. You got Pajot, who has 9 goals this season. Pajot. He's got 13 points on the season. And 4 assists.
That's pretty good for Pajot.
That is pretty good. That's helping me a lot too. And you got.
Do you have him in your fantasy?
I do.
Oh my God. Sens fan.
Yep, Sens fan till the day I die. So, and you have Barzal, who has 18 points on the season out of 21 games, which is pretty good. I'm saying +6. So I'm gonna keep them as real.
Do you want to go to the other New York team, or do you want us to go first?
Can you guys just keep going first?
Okay. The Rangers, I think we're all gonna have them as fake. They were the one team that people were like thought they could take a jump. You got Panarin. you got a lot of young pieces, but it just really hasn't worked out. Their offense has scored 2 or less goals in half the games they've played this year. You can't win that way. They got a lot of young players in their middle six, and they're going to need a year or so to figure out the league. And their goaltending hasn't worked out the way they wanted it to either. So,
yeah, I have the Rangers fake as well. Give me 2-3 years of them, and they'll be up there as real. They'll take some of the spots of some of the teams that we probably have close to the top right now. They have their stars in Panarin, who's obviously dealing with a bunch of legal stuff right now. Zibanejad had a slow start, and I think he's stayed kind of slow.
Yeah, by looks, he's been slow.
You got obviously Lafreniere, who's been kind of disappointing. They have a lot of other players, Kako, Jacob Trouba on the back. They got some young goaltenders. They don't have their experience, give them 2 or 3 years, like I said, and I'll have them probably closer to real. But yeah, they're fake.
I have them as fake as well. I don't see any upside right now with the Rangers, especially with their main player not even being able to play. And Zibanejad hasn't been himself in comparison to last year, at least. So, I have them as fake as well.
I think the only upside to the Rangers is called the future.
Yes, really.
And I'm taking the Rangers as fake too.
I think they got that passed on from the Senators.
All right, I'm taking the Rangers as fake too. As you said, like Lafreniere has not been, producing as we thought that he would, but let alone he does play on the Rangers. And you have Zibanejad, who like I said,
ex-Senators legend.
Yeah, exactly. And he did have a wicked season last year. But just with a slow go to this season, as you guys said, so I'm keeping them as fake.
Okay, moving on to the Rangers, the
Bruins.
Bruins.
Favorite team.
My favorite team, the Boston Bruins. Being a Leafs fan, when I heard the Boston Bruins were losing Chara and Krug, I was so happy. I was like, Boston might not make the playoffs, but then I realized we're talking about Boston, and they don't know how to lose, no matter who's in their lineup. If somebody here has them as fake, they're leaving the podcast. McAvoy has stepped up into that lead defensive role. They were hoping he would. That top line can't be stopped. Never has been able to be stopped. The Boston Bruins just don't know how to lose.
Yeah, I have the Bruins as real as well. Their top line, like Brandon said, you got Pasternak, who's like probably the rookie out of all of them. Not actually a rookie, but on that line, he's basically a rookie. You got Marchand and Bergeron who are getting just better with age. Bergeron is closing on 35, Marchand is closing on 33, and they're still playing like Marchand top 10 player, Bergeron top 15, 20, whatever you want to say. Their goaltending is always going to be solid with Tuukka, thank you, and Halak's even playing very well this year as a backup. Like Brandon said, McAvoy's jumping into that lead defensive role. They got other Grzelcyk, who has been pretty good this year too. And then they're just like a pretty deep team. Like all their lines work together. They score goals. They play defense. They're just a good coach team. Yeah. And everybody thought they were going to be fake this year, but no, we all
good all around. Yeah.
We all have them as real. I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
All right, so I also have them as real.
I was fake.
Just based off the fact that they've been probably the most consistent team in their conference. I think
they've probably been the most consistent team over the last 5 years. Yeah, maybe even longer, 10.
Mm-hmm. This year specifically, I'm really high on the Bruins. I think their coaching has been really good as well. And obviously offensively, they're always there, and defensively they are as well. And with the addition of a good goaltender, it's kind of, I don't know, it's hard to go against the Bruins for sure.
Yeah, and I got the Bruins in as real too. Like you say, they got a good goaltender between the pipes. They have Charlie McAvoy, who is a really good hockey player. Dave Pasternak, who is great offensively, and and they just been consistent throughout the years. And they're a great contending team all around. The coaching's good, so I'm keeping them as a real team.
The Capitals, again, another easy one. They're real. They're tops of the division with key pieces being out for parts of the season because of COVID. They got solid defense. Their only question was goaltending, losing Holtby, but I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Vitek Vanacek. Vitek Vanacek.
Whoa, he's got VTech?
He has been a really nice surprise for the Capitals. He's probably overachieving. I mean, you would know more than me. Like, I've never heard of this guy before this year.
I didn't either.
And I mean, he's coming out here and acting like a starting goaltender for the best team in the conference.
We got another Sens legend. Why are there so many Sens legends
Who's
in there?
Oh, Craig Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you got that offense. You got John Carlson. You got this wicked goaltender. I mean, they're a real team.
For me, I also have the Capitals real. You know, them and Pittsburgh are the two teams I could have put fake. I know the Capitals. You're saying what? The Capitals. Like, what are you doing? No, the Capitals are first division. Yeah, they're first division, but their goal, like Brand said, their goaltending is still. I still question it.
Oh yeah, a guy like him can fall at any second.
Fall out, you know, going into the playoffs, he's got no playoff experience. He might even want to turn to Craig Anderson,
honestly,
who has better experience.
He went to Game 7 double overtime.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Just a wicked snipe.
Ottawa makes all stars.
Anyways, Capitals are real. You know, you got John Carlson. Chara is still playing pretty big minutes for them. You know, he's PK. He's finishing the games out in close games. Yep. Obviously, you got probably top 2 scorer of all time in Alex Ovechkin, who still scores goals a lot. Backstrom has had a phenomenal year so far.
Yes, he has.
Brazilian fantasy.
TJ Oshie is always going to get you points. You know, Tom Wilson's going to be that gritty player who a lot of people don't like, but he still gets you points.
Don't swear.
You know, the Capitals are at the top for a reason, but you know, if their goaltending stays the way it's been playing, then they are definitely 100% real. They're going to keep real. So.
Yeah, I have them as real as well, just based off the fact that they're first. And, you know, there's really no big holes right now at this moment. You can't question their goaltending going into the playoffs just because of the lack of experience. But otherwise, I have the Capitals as real. Basically, they've summed up everything. So yeah. And going to the Sabres, I'd say fake. If we're moving on to
Did Bray talk about the
I
Capitals?
didn't get to talk about the Capitals.
Fake.
No,
don't let Max disrespect you like that.
Okay, I just got some. No, but I got.
Skip.
Okay, quiet over there. I got the man's talking now.
Okay, the only thing I can focus is if you put on your glasses. Okay.
Look at the camera.
Okay, go on.
And by the way, ladies, I'm single, so hit me up.
Oh, that's great. I hope your wife watches this.
I hope so too. But I got the Capitals in as real. You know, they got Alex Ovechkin, Thomas Wilson, Oshie, and Baxtrom is having an amazing season with them.
Half of Bray's fantasy team is Capitals.
That is true, because I do also have Thomas Wilson on my fantasy.
Thomas Wilson.
Thomas, you know, it's all the same chick.
Okay, Bray. No, Bray, you're starting.
I'm starting. I got the Sabres and it's fake, and that's all I gotta say.
That's all you gotta say.
That's all I gotta say.
You really have a lot to say about Thomas Wilson, don't you?
I do.
Thomas.
You went to school with him, did you not?
No, I didn't. None of that hasn't dawned on me.
You don't know Thomas Wilson?
Nope.
Remember that kid?
He was so weird. I hope he watches the podcast.
I hope so too.
He's a weird lad. You don't know Thomas Wilson?
Actually, you know what? I hate to jump off topic here, and I know it's
not... How many sisters has he got?
Two.
Then they're both...
They're twins.
Yeah, they're weird.
But he wore a helmet, man, to school.
He wore a helmet every day.
Green big helmet.
You don't remember Thomas Wilson?
Yeah,
it was an army helmet.
Okay,
anyways, Sabres.
Great.
Start off with the Sabres.
I already said fake.
What else?
Thomas Wilson.
I wish.
Okay, so I got the Sabres as fake. Other than, I mean, Noah probably knows this, so
I haven't played them yet, so I actually don't.
Okay.
This is the one team I don't.
They're the one team I'm like a frustrated fake on. Like they're supposed to be good for the last.
Eichel hasn't been playing well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Eichel, how many goals do you think Eichel and Hull have combined?
Probably. I know Taylor Hall has 1 goal, so.
Don't look it up. Take a guess.
So probably 5.
5 goals combined.
I think.
What do you think? Taylor Hall and Eichel, how many goals they got combined
like
this year?
7.
5.
3.
Wow.
Jack Eichel's got 2. Taylor Hall's got 1. To put that into perspective, Curtis Lazar has 4 goals this year for the Buffalo Sabres. Curtis Lazar has more goals than Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel combined.
I also love how they're sitting there, $8 million guy. They healthy scratch every game.
Yeah,
Jeff Skinner.
See ya, Skinner. What are
Eight
they
more
doing?
years.
What is this? I don't care.
They are a brutal franchise.
I don't care how bad he is. If he makes $8 million, you play the man.
Sign for 8 more years.
This franchise, he's never going to get traded. That's going to be
the worst contract ever.
That will be the worst contract ever. I mean, the Sabres, they're so frustrating to watch because they have the pieces. You got Eichel, you got Hall, you got Ristolainen, you got Dahlin. They should be decent, but they're brutal.
You got all the pieces to the puzzles,
they're not fitting.
They're just not fitting, exactly.
It's like you got all the pieces, but it's 3 different puzzles.
Yeah.
One from each.
It's a frustrating
They're pretty
team.
fake. I think we all have them as fakes. We don't really have to sort of sum them up, so we don't have to get into them.
Yeah.
Moving into our top 5 in the East Division this season. Max Tidrington.
Not all time. Top 5 players in this division so far this season. Max Tidrington. Braden, number 5.
Number 5? You have Crosby in as number 5?
You haven't done a list yet?
I have not
do
done
a list now. Max, I guess we know who your number 5 is.
No, Max changed his list.
Oh, you changed it? Who's your number 5?
Alexander Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin is better than Sidney Crosby at hockey, first off. And second off, I have to say because he's actually led his team to... I can't focus here.
Sorry.
Okay, well, speak then.
I'm trying to talk to you
Okay,
guys.
speak.
You guys are whispering.
You're talking to them.
You have to be direct with your audience.
Who's your number 5?
Alexander
Ovechkin. Okay.
Okay, so I have Ovechkin at my number 5 pick just because although he hasn't been ripping up as well as he has in the past, he still has his team at the number 1 spot, and he still has I think he has 7 goals, maybe.
That's it.
Maybe
he does have
more.
7. He does have 7.
Yeah. And I know he actually has put up a fair amount of assists as well. So, he's doing well. He's doing better than the other players that would be around his level. Crosby, I think, for his team. So yeah, I have him at 5.
My number 5 is a guy that sort of came out of nowhere again this year. Brandon loves him. Number 5.
Ex-Leaf legend.
I have James Van Riemsdyk.
He's the tip master.
Yes, you want this guy in front of the net on your power play or in front of the net in general. He's gonna. I don't know his stats off by hand, to be honest with you.
I got him.
18 games, 25 points, 18 games. For JVR, that's probably more than you'd assume he'd get. He's been pretty surprising. If we were doing like a surprise list, he'd probably be number 1 or 2. But yeah, he's coming in at number 5 for me.
My number 5 is Artemi Panarin. He's dealing with legal issues right now, so he's only played 14 games. But in those 14 games, he's got 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 points. He's only played 14 games, and he's still leading his teams. He's still leading the Rangers in scoring, and it's not even close. I think the next closest person is 14 points or something like that in 20 games, and he's played 14. He's been the only really good thing to come out of the Rangers so far this year. Do you got a 4, Bray? Do you got a 5, or do you want to just keep going?
Just keep going.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Sorry.
David Pasternak, another guy who hasn't played a lot of games. He's only played 12 games, but again, the points don't lie. 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. He's got great fashion, great music sense, great singing abilities, as we saw in the Winter Classic game.
Beautiful man.
Barbie girl.
If you can style and sing and dance to Barbie Girl and have 18 points in 12 games, you deserve to be in the top 5 for sure.
Personally, I do not have him in my top 5. He was probably number 6 for me.
That's fine.
My number 4 guy is Patrice Bergeron. He's
I don't have Bergeron.
Like I said,
he's my 6th guy.
Like I said earlier, he's 34, closing on 35, and he's still playing the top 15 player. Yeah, that'd be nice. Bergeron has 20 points in 19 games, 63% faceoffs.
That's insane.
You're always gonna have him in as a faceoff guy.
63% on the ground.
That's wicked.
Like we said earlier, the Bruins are probably overachieving for what they're supposed to be, losing a couple key pieces. But he's been the guy still, and he's coming in at my number 4.
All right, so I have Nicholas Backstrom. Sorry, for the Capitals, another pick from that team. Just because of how well he's playing this year, I think most of us would probably have him in our top 5.
He's in mine.
Yeah.
He's in mine too.
So he's actually playing really well this year. He's got 10 goals and 15 assists. He's doing well. Even recently, he's actually been playing better than before. He's had 3 goals in the past 4 games. So, yeah, with him, I find I've always been a fan of Backstrom. He's been around in the league for a while. So, yeah, he's my number 4 pick for top players.
Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is JVR. His stats are probably the most impressive part right now. I mean, obviously, we didn't really see him playing as well as he is, but with the fact that he's so well in front of the net, and I think he has
25 points.
Yeah, 25 points. So it's hard not to put him up in the top 5, considering how well he's playing, and considering Philadelphia is doing really well. So
agreed. My number 3 player is Max's number 4, Nicholas Backstrom. You know, he's probably been the best player on the Capitals this year. You know, whenever he is winning your draws on the faceoff, and then he's also primary assisting on most of Ovi's one-timer goals or goals in general on the power play. He's going to be in your top 5 players. He's got a great eye, great IQ, probably one of the tops in the league. He's always been sort of underappreciated with Ovechkin being there. You know, he's not a guy that gets talked about every day, but he's just been a consistent player his whole career, and he has been nothing less than great this year, so he's my number 3 player.
My number 3 is Brad Marchand. I mean, I basically just want to have a spot for could we just say the Boston's first line? I mean, they could all be on here. Like I said, 19 games, 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 points. The points are at an elite level, and that's just part of his game. For people who follow the Boston Bruins or are Leafs fans, you know Brad Marchand gets under your skin. He's one of the best in the league at doing it. So to have a player like that, disturbing your best players while putting up elite numbers, he's one of the best.
Mm-hmm. So are we going to our number 2 players?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay. Number 2. Mm-hmm. You want to go?
No,
okay.
I don't.
No,
I don't.
I have Nicholas Backstrom. Like they said, 25 points in 21 games. He's been super consistent the past so many years. And even through all that, like Noah said, he gets kind of underappreciated because when you play on the same team as Ovechkin, everyone's just going to talk about Ovechkin. And the way he's been playing this year, especially with, again, Ovechkin missing a few games because of COVID and a bunch of other people on his team missing games because of COVID, people really saw the star that he is, putting up these numbers almost by himself, sort of, for part of the season. And just continuing it when everybody comes back is just kind of proving the star he is.
Yeah.
This is even my controversial one. Bit biased, probably. My second player is Sidney Crosby. Obviously, out of everybody here, I watch the most Penguins games, being a fan of Pittsburgh. Yes, his points are not up where they always are, but he's still controlling the game massively. He is 56% in the faceoff circle.
Round up. 56.7?
57% in the faceoff circle. You know, you're going to put him on a draw. He's still gets his goals. He still gets his assists. To me, it's more on his defensive side. People always known him for being a great playmaker, but he also is a very underrated defensive player. He always knows where to be. He always knows where his players are going to be. Yes, like I said, his points aren't there, but to me, the way he controls the game is just sort of why I have him up here. Penguins are not doing well. You know, these guys probably aren't going to agree with me here, but the way he controls the game, I still got to keep him in number 2.
He's not in my top 5, but I mean, I can't argue it. You're talking about Sidney Crosby. Go ahead, Max.
So I understand where Noah's coming from to put Crosby in your top 5, but
Again, probably biased.
A little bit biased in my opinion, just because the
bandwagon.
let's say he was putting up these numbers and the Penguins were fighting for a number 3 or 2 spot in their conference or their division.
Well, I mean, they basically are 1 win and they're there.
They're one win and they're the 4th because they have the tiebreaker over Philly.
I'm saying if
the
they're
not,
I shouldn't say fighting. I'm saying if they're in that position right now currently, and they're not. So
maybe
because they're not in that position, out of the 2 of Ovechkin and Crosby, they're playing obviously very different games, but they have similar production this year, and out of the two, I would take Ovechkin just because.
I don't even have Ovechkin in either.
I know, but just because of their records still.
Who's number 2 for you?
Patrice Bergeron.
Okay.
So I have Bergeron just because I found that my decisions, although it's been based off of points, I don't watch enough hockey to actually really focus on these players specifically. So I would say this is based off of a record and based off of how well the team is doing. So yeah, I'd have Patrice Bergeron there because what I know of him, I don't watch him enough, but I know he's great on the draw. He's consistently, I think on the defensive end.
He's a great defender.
He normally wins the best defensive forward.
Exactly. So from that, he doesn't need to do amazing on the stats, and I think
he still does.
He still
he's
does.
above a point a game.
Exactly. So yeah, he's my number 2 pick for sure.
And number 1?
Brad Marchand, another Boston player. He's been he's just been as good as Bergeron, if not better. He's blowing up on the stats, I think, a little bit more than Bergeron. And the fact that, I think they're a good 1-2 punch this year. And obviously Pasternak on the side as well. So with that and their record, it's a clear 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, mine top players also Brad Marchand. Bruins are great like usual. He's not getting any worse with age. He's actually probably getting better. I've mentioned that multiple times. I don't know his stats. B-Will probably has them.
10 goals, 23 points, 19 games.
Yeah, so he's over a point per game. He kills penalties too, which is another key factor for me because I play a lot of PK in my hockey. I don't know what to say with him. That's true. I don't know much to say about him other than he's just always been a great player. He's putting up points on a very good team. I don't watch too many of them whenever they play Pittsburgh. Like I watch them, but they haven't played them enough for me to say, oh yeah, he's a great player. But he's just been consistent. He's my number 1 player.
And just to argue them a little bit, I mean, if we're talking best player this season, I don't even think I'm being biased. You got to put James Van Riemsdyk up there. He's tied. Yeah. He's tied for the most points in the division. He's got Nicholas Backstrom. They both got 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points. The only difference between them two is Backstrom's played 21 games in top minutes, and James Van Riemsdyk is playing like second line, and 21 minutes. 21 games for Backstrom, and Van Riemsdyk only played 18 in a lesser role. He's probably, like Noah said before, one of the most surprising players of the season, and just if we're talking about players themselves, for him to lead the division in points, I think he's got to be up there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's about it.
Okay, so just to end off this podcast, I got a little surprise segment.
Oh jeez.
It's called. It's going to be a quick one. It's called 60 Seconds of Fame. Basically, I ask a question, and you guys take turns quickly, without arguments. When we might argue, discussing your takes on these questions, and I won't even be involved. I'm just asking the questions.
Just between me and Max.
Well, Bray is in too. Also Braden. Okay, question number 1. I saw a video of Drew Brees working out. There's a possibility of him not retiring. Do you think Drew Brees will retire? If he doesn't, would the Saints want him back?
If he doesn't, the Saints.
If he doesn't retire, the Saints want him back. I still see him retiring though.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Even with the workouts.
Yeah, I think that the Saints will take him back.
I don't trust it. I think it's clickbait.
You see
clickbait.
You see retired football players
here.
You see retired football players all the time.
I know, but he was with the person. Okay, I won't.
It's a good question.
This one's.
I love for him to come back for another season.
This one's the controversial one.
Ben Simmons.
No, it's another football one. Will J.J. Watt make the playoffs with the Cardinals over his 2-year contract?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Why? Why or why not?
The division's too good.
Division's too good. You don't think he can make it?
I don't. Trust
I think he
I
could.
don't trust the
I think he
division.
could. I don't think he will though.
I don't trust that the division will be as good as we. Or not that
Even in the next 2 years?
I think I think Russ might leave for 1, and for 2, I see the Cardinals getting better considering how young Kyler Murray is. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like they're only just gonna get better. They have a lot of potential still.
And quickly, last one.
They're better than the Falcons.
This one's going to be a quick one. Just
Yes.
yes or no.
Well, they're better than the Panthers too.
Not if my
Not if they
fantasy
get
predictions
Deshaun
come
Watson.
right.
Oh.
Is Dak the starting quarterback of the Cowboys next year.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I've heard some reports that might not be.
Oh, what are they going to start? Andy Dalton?
No.
All right.
Apparently,
we're gonna wrap it up
they're
there,
going hard
guys.
for Russell Wilson, apparently.
Yeah,
That's not what I read.
Thank you, Braden Fisher.
Yeah,
Thank you, Fisher, for coming out.
For not talking about his top 5 players, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. As always, go follow our Instagram. It'll be also down in the description. And we will see you next week.
See ya.